Clemson Sports Talk on a Tuesday afternoon. Vince says, sorry, I'm a math teacher. I wish I could help you. I have no idea, Vince. I'll be honest, man. I hope you don't mind me keeping that up during the break because that was I still am not sure what Terry's talking about. You know what? You talk about learning to spell and rivals and fun things that happen at football games. You know, yesterday we reflected on the life and legacy of Bobby Bowden and some of my memories from times inside Death Valley, the Punt Rooski game, Bowden Bowl 1, all those many memories and games that I was at. But one of the things that I recall from, I guess this would have been 2003-ish. And some of you will remember it very well. This was the year that Georgia Tech beat Clemson, and there was a bad snap late, and then they found Calvin Johnson in the end zone. Maybe 2003. They at some point they all start to run together, right? Anyway, if you remember the exact year, that's fine. But Terry's quote about learning to spell reminded me of when we played Georgia Tech, when Clemson played Georgia Tech that year, and the Georgia Tech section, was seated in between when Clemson's doing the spelling, when you go around the stadium, C-L. And they would do this. You go around the stadium. I don't even know if Clemson still does this, where they'd spell it. Of course, everybody knows you do the regular cheer and you got the C-L-E-M-S-O-N. Like everybody knows that one. But they would do, at one point back in the 2000s, they would do one where the student section would go, C, and then the Hill would go, L, and then the next section would go, E, and then the big middle section would go, M, and then the next section would go, S. But the Georgia Tech faithful were seated between the M and the S. And that's typically, if you go around Clemson Stadium from right to left, from the student section, C, the Hill, L, the following section, E, the next section, M. Then you would have the Georgia Tech section, then the Hill, then the West Zone, who was S, and then half of a portion of a third or so of, I guess that's the North Stands was O, and the other middle section of the North Stands were N. And Georgia Tech students are smart. They are known to be intellectuals. And so every time that thing would come around, they would throw a P in there. And listen, I am anti-Clemson. Like, I am not going to be that guy. Uh-oh. Tracy's in the share zone today. Put her in there. So I am not pro-Clemson, right? I just say Clemson, and it kind of gives you the P. But I'm definitely anti-Clemson. Like, anytime somebody comes on here and says, the Clemson Tigers, I'm like, yo, that's not even the team that we're following here on Clemson Sports Talk. But give kudos to the Georgia Tech faithful, because they would absolutely throw that P in there as that chant would go around the stadium. And, every once in a while, somebody does something, you go, that's good. That's good. Like, if you can't recognize that that's good, then we'll be back here at 4 o'clock tomorrow to give you another lesson on good quality ribbing in college sports. 803-450-0086. Linda says, I share the show with my groups, and once again, I was declined by one of my Clemson fan groups. So, bye, Felicia. Yeah. Linda, when they come groveling back over here to try to be a part of the program, that's when I'm going to let you give them the old band hammer. Don't think so. Which group is it, Linda? Call them out. Call them out, Linda. Nonetheless, always good to spend the afternoon with you guys. And again, the college football coaches poll for 2021, the preseason poll came out today. Clemson 2, Georgia 5. So it is official. It is a top 5 matchup for your Clemson Tigers in the season opener. Let's not forget, and I know most of the time you go by the AP poll on these things, but let's also not forget that Alabama is matched up against Miami. That's going to be almost a top 15 matchup. The Hurricanes are at 16. The Crimson Tide are at 1, a dominant number 1 in the polls. And as we said here on the program last week, when we talked about Joey Galloway's comments that the ACC was terrible, and hey, it may very well be. It may very well be. But you can't cart before the horse all of these leagues just based off of the past or history or whatever. Like, here's the projections. This is what we know. There are 2 teams from the ACC inside the top 10, Clemson and North Carolina. Now, do I believe that the SEC is a better league? Yeah, and you know what? Based off of the polls, I think we would all agree. Alabama's 1. Georgia's 5. Texas A&M is 6. I mean, there are 3 SEC teams inside the top 9. But let's not be so dismissive of 2 ACC teams inside the top 9 either. And that's the thing, and that's the error in the judgment that I think some of these national media members make, is that they just dismiss other teams and other leagues for really no reason at all at this point. Way too early. All you can do is look at the polls, think about what these coaches have said about it, based off of their voting, but it doesn't make a league bad or horrible or terrible like Joey Galloway said about the ACC. Way too early to determine those things. Now, earlier in the show, I talked about Quinn Ewers, who has become an interesting story